Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lost Pines podcast. My name's Emily,
And I'm Anthony.
and we're back. It's been a really long time, and really excited to be back. Are you excited to be back?
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to be back. We are going to talk a little bit today about some of the stuff that we did in DC a few weeks ago, which is why we were gone for so long. I was kind of helping to organize the March for Medicare for All, and Anthony joined me in DC and helped volunteer and do a bunch of activism with us, a bunch of actions the week of. So we just wanted to cover that a little bit. We do cover, like, obviously on this channel, this podcast, like, policy and how we feel about current events and everything, but also a huge part of the movement is activism and being out on the streets and direct action. So figured we would take today to just update everyone on what we've been doing, all the cool things that we did in DC, and jump back into regularly scheduled content next week. So how you doing?
Yeah. Pretty good. How about you?
I'm okay. My hair will not stop falling down. I can't keep it in this clip, but it's super hot in here, so
Yeah, it is. It's a little steamy, isn't it?
A little irritating, but not as hot as it was in DC.
That was terrible.
That was so hot.
It's like, okay, I had fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a good time, but when you get in that part of DC, it sucks, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
the first day was the worst day, which I'm kind of shocked about because I don't know. Maybe it was just that it hit us because we are not used to that heat.
I also think like the sun is reflecting off of the pavement and the buildings and the glass and everything.
Yeah.
So it magnifies everything.
I don't know. The other days it was still really
sucks.
hot though. I'm just kind of shocked that it.
The only part of DC
really
that I liked being in was when we went to the mutual aid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was probably my favorite thing of the whole week, other than maybe zombies.
Right.
I really liked the Nancy Pelosi action too, which like sneak peek into what we did. But no, that was really good. So good segue. We left for DC on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, because we drove the whole way from Michigan to DC, Arlington area, stayed in a hotel Tuesday night, and then started our actions on Wednesday, which actually brings up one of my other favorite parts of the whole entire week was our banner drop, because the banner stayed up the whole entire week.
Shit, it might still be
it's probably still there. It was there the whole time that we were there, and it was there right before we left. So that was awesome just to see it up there for so long. And I personally made the banner. It was so cool to just see it up there, and like something that I had worked on, like staying there, and such a cool form of like street art, I guess. And it was really cool because we had CNN on one side of the banner, and behind the banner was a Care First building, which housed a Blue Cross Blue Shield branch. Mm-hmm. So it was super cool, really good placement of the banner. There was also another health care company. I can't remember the name of it. It's one I've never heard of, but it was down the street. Do you know the one that Ricky was talking about? I don't remember.
I can't remember the name of it for some reason.
So good spot to keep it, to put it. And it was also across from Union Station parking garage. So it was a really good location for people to see it. There was a bunch of people driving back and forth. There were a lot of people that we saw as we stopped to check on the banner, that were like looking at it and stopping to look at it, reading it. So it was just super cool to see that like actually work out as well as I honestly thought they were going to pull it down the same day. So for that to have been up all week and for it to have so many eyes on it in such a cool place was really cool. And I think we got
that were driving by it too.
Yeah,
like, it was weird.
Yeah, I just don't think people care about that area because it's Union Station parking garage is like not a walkable. It is, but it's like no one walks down through that area really. It's just like you're driving by really quick, and it's on a bridge kind of, so I don't really think that it goes over train tracks. The bridge does. So I'm not really sure that the police would even really care to stop and take it down. And they probably see stuff like that all the time too. So super cool action. I'll leave the videos and the pictures throughout this so that you can see it. And then also go follow M for All on Twitter, and you'll see all of our pictures too. But that was Wednesday. And then after the banner drop, that took us probably a good 10 minutes. It was super quick. We dropped the banner and left. And from there, we went to do some chalking by Union Station and MSNBC, which was really cool because we got kicked out of MSNBC. And our friend Ricky, who does organizing with me with March for Medicare for All, one of the founders of March for Medicare for All, was really like heckling these workers at one worker at MSNBC. Not that like it's such a confliction, right? Because like you don't want to ruin the worker's day, but at the same time, it's like, and I understand it's their job to kick people out, but we're doing this for you too. You know what I mean? And even when we were doing zombies, which we'll touch on in a second, we had some workers that had kicked us out of NBC as well. And we were kind of going back and forth with them. And she's like, I'm sorry, like, this is not, I'm going to have to call the police. I don't want to have to call the police, but I have to pay it. Like, I have to eat, I have to feed my family. I have to get money. This is my job. And we were like, we're fighting for you too. Like, you shouldn't have to choose between both. You shouldn't have to choose between feeding your family and like being a part of a movement that's for you and for your family as well. So regardless, we did chalking after the banner drop at Union Station and NBC and Fox News and C-SPAN, and I'll keep some photos going and videos going of that as well. But what was your experience with that? Because it was really just me, Anthony, and Ricky that day doing a bunch of stuff. So how'd you feel about that?
I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was kind of my first time really doing anything like this. No, I mean, it's a lot more fun than you would think it is. Like, cause you get kind of nervous going in, and cause we're all kind of, hardwired to be, or kind of, groomed by society to be afraid of authority and stuff like that, and not to disrupt the flow of society or everyday life. So doing it was a lot of fun. I'll definitely do it again at some point. There was, I mean, even our nation's capital is like, the effects of capitalism have kind of torn it apart too. Seeing that was pretty eye opening.
Mm-hmm.
Like Union Station, it was like 95 degrees out. Who knows how high the humidity was that day? It was awful though, and there's just like a lot of poor people walking around, just getting brutalized by the sun with no water and no food. And then you go in Union Station and you go to the vending machine. I went there to get water, and it was completely empty. There's like 4 vending machines just completely empty. It's like, what are we doing here? And then the drinking water that they do have is like, I mean, you can taste it. It's not good quality drinking water.
Yeah.
It was like piss warm. I felt like I was in a bathtub.
At that point, I just used it to wet myself so that when the breeze came, I was cool, because it was awful to drink. You didn't want to drink it.
It was terrible.
But yeah, it was so hot that day. And I just remember going, I don't know if that was the day that we went and grabbed food and I think it was that day that we got food and bought lunch for that homeless guy that was talking to us about politics and stuff. And we were chatting with him about what we were there for and talking to him about Medicare for All. And he wasn't as knowledgeable, I feel like, on Medicare for All, but like had a good read of the world, and it was clear chatting with us and told us he had gotten kicked out earlier that day for just sitting in Union Station. There's like a heavy police presence too in Union Station.
It's very clear that there is definitely, the government has put like blinders over people's faces so that poor people don't rally together. Because if they did in DC, there'd be a lot of people there. So,
and they also just don't have access to the information though. They just don't,
by design though, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So I mean, it's sad to see.
It was really nice talking to that guy though. He was super sweet.
Yeah.
And he was and we saw all day though. We were seeing like groups of 5 or 6 cops in Union Station just walking around. And it's like, what are you guys fucking doing here? Like, do you have nothing better to do in your fucking lives? Which, no, they don't. I know they don't. But they were talking to him. He was telling us how, like, they had just kicked him out, and all he was trying to do was, like, get cool and try to find some food and stuff like that. And so it was just a really eye-opening experience. And we did some really cool chalking around the area. I feel like we had some really cool sayings around it, and slogan, like little things that we wrote on the with the chalk. One of them was gosh, what was the
billions for you're talking about the Zelensky one? It said billions for Zelensky's coke habit, 0 for
healthcare or something. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna leave it up on the screen, but I'm gonna try to find it really quick because it was so funny. Shout out to Ricky, because Ricky did so many funny
he's hilarious.
So many funny chalking things there. Billions for Zelensky's coke habit, nothing for our healthcare. So yeah, that you were right. But yeah, that was so good. That was such a good first day. So many good other ones too. Like,
oh, you were double checking me because you thought I was wrong.
I thought he said specifically something about Biden in it. That's why I was checking, because I thought
triple
it said.
Check then. Triple check
might
right now.
I will.
Yeah, you might want to double check yourself now. If you're wrong.
No, I'm right.
No,
You're
I'm right. Jesus.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking through these now still, but this is good. There's like a medical debt bill that Ro Khanna like was supposed to write after he met with us. And so we wrote like ask Ro Khanna about his medical debt bill. Like we wrote a few like I want what Congress has, because we all know that Congress it has Medicare for all, basically. And yeah, we went to the mainstream media offices and did like NBC is funded by murderers. The mainstream media lies to you. Fuck Pfizer, because they're all funded by Pfizer and other companies.
What the fuck wasn't FUCK?
Oh yeah, it's
PHU.
No, PF.
PF.
Fuck
oh my
Pfizer,
because
that's how Pfizer is spelled.
Duh.
And then stop watching mainstream media. We had one guy who like so clearly worked for one of the media companies, standing outside like waiting for a ride or something, or a cab. Who was like after we got kicked out, and the lady was telling us, which I was like writing down, NBC is funded by murderers, like, and I was halfway through murder, and the lady was like, ma'am, you really have to stop. And I just like was not like listening and really trying to hurry up and finish. And Ricky was like, what did he say? He was like,
she's like, who gave you permission to be here? And he's like, Jesus.
And
she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, Jesus said I could be here. And then she's like, oh, you guys got to leave. Private property, helicopters. And he's like, he just started rambling.
Talking about capitalism, about
like he was in this like zone.
He's so good at riffing.
He's seeing red, and he's just like, oh, so I guess we all just have to die because the news company or the news companies you work for.
He was like, oh, I know, private property and capitalism. I get it. We all just have to die now because private property and shit like that. And like,
she was
so good.
She was befuddled.
And this guy who was sitting on the road, who obviously works there, was like, you guys should have planned your protest better. It's about to rain in 5 minutes. And it never ended up raining. But Ricky was so pissed. He walks underneath the awning of one of the buildings and writes in chalk, rain does not fall here, and neither does the truth. And it was awesome. Like, just such a good day. So that was the first day that we were there, which was quite eventful. We were supposed to do sign waving, but we were supposed to do sign waving most of the days, and we didn't actually end up doing that. I think we planned too much for the days, and then when we got there, we realized we actually didn't have enough energy or time to actually accomplish all of the things we wanted to. So we did as much as we could, which I think was still good. So that was the first day. And then the next day, we were also supposed to do sign waving, but we ended up doing... That day it did rain a little bit. Yeah, we did some stickering. Me and Savage Joy and our friend Logan and Ricky again went out and did some stickering while other folks were showing up to our Airbnb. So we went out to Chinatown in DC and did a lot of stickering there. There was like these posters that had Biden on them. It was like Biden saves the climate 2022, and it was like Joe Biden in like this Top Gun outfit. It was like a Top Gun poster. But it was like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and a bunch of like Democrats alongside him, and they were all in these like weird Top Gun
Literally
outfits.
Scoop my eyeball out with an ice cream spoon.
So it was really funny. We actually put some Medicare for All stickers over those, and then we put googly eyes on Joe Biden's face at one of them. I'll leave all the pictures as well, but super cool. And then we actually went into a Union Station. This actually freaked me out. We had walked around and we had put a bunch of stickers around, and then we got into a Union Station entrance, or a train station entrance, and we were like, what if we put the stickers down the escalators? So me and Ricky hopped on the escalators, and as we were going down, sticking stickers along the escalator, because in order for them to get it off, they'd have to stop the escalator. Mm-hmm. So we were trying to make people's lives as inconvenient as possible for this stuff, honestly. And also like get the cops, you know, kind of rile them up a little bit. So we actually were able to do that. We ended up going to eat lunch, or we walked around to do a few more stickers, came back to go find something for lunch in Chinatown. And there was one cop that passed us before we left, and then we came back around. There was 5 cops there. I'm not kidding. There was 5 other cops there, right, standing in the train station. So we were like really trying to keep it low. You know, we weren't trying to get arrested or anything before the big day on Saturday. But yeah, that was wild. I was very nervous sitting at lunch. I was like, oh my God, like these motherfuckers are crazy. They surveilled us. They know what we look like. They know what we're wearing. Like we weren't hiding our faces or anything. We were just walking around.
Like Homeland's gonna come after you.
Oh my God. I realize that's dramatic. I also have like major anxiety, but like, no, I was seriously scared, because I was like, why do they, well, first of all, why do they need 6 cops there for fucking stickers at a train station? I mean, well, I was like, freaked out. I don't know.
You're not dramatic. Like you read crazy shit that they do.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And
I knew we weren't like hiding our faces or anything. So, and I was wearing these wild pants. Like you'll see my pants in the pictures that I put on here about Nancy Pelosi.
Pants.
Very wild pants. So I was like, they know. Like if they see me, they're gonna know who I am. And the cop had seen us before we left to go do more stickering, and he had talked to us. He was like, "Oh, how's the weather?" And we were like, "Oh, it's pretty fucking hot, right?" And I was like, "This guy knows who I am. He's gonna recognize me." But it was good. It was really good. And then we just came home, and we ended up making some signs for our Nancy Pelosi action, which was at Nancy Pelosi's Georgetown condo in this shopping mall called
$900,000.
Yeah, crazy. Some of the stuff I was looking up about it, some of them said 900,000, some of them said like in the millions now. So I'm sure it's gotten more expensive, but yeah, so it was in Washington Harbor shopping mall, which was really fancy, so fancy. Really nice restaurants, clubs,
right there.
Ice cream places, even really nice shopping like stores.
Mm-hmm.
It was wild. And just to go from like where we were at in DC previously to this place that was just tucked away from it all and so bougie and luxury was such a shock. I mean, you're not surprised because you know this stuff exists, and we're from Flint, so like we've seen that before.
She goes and like protects herself from the real world. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go hide in my ivory tower now. Yeah,
and it really is. Like, really is an ivory tower. Like seriously, if you've seen this place. I'll post pictures of it, but it is literally an ivory tower, and it's tucked so far away in DC where it's across from the Lincoln Memorial. It's so weird. It's right on the harbor. It's just a very odd spot to be in. It took us like 25 minutes to park because it's so remote almost. We couldn't find any parking. We couldn't figure out where to go.
How many pills do you think we made her pop that night? Jesus.
I don't know. I'm really hoping she was there and knew that we were there. We had a really loud bullhorn that night.
Late, so she was in very DC. Late. She probably would have been home.
This was also Thursday, so this was they all had to be back in session on Friday, which is why we chose to do it on Thursday. We knew she would be there because she had to be to work the next day.
By the time we were
it was about 10 p.m.
Her old ass might have been sleeping by then, though.
But hopefully woke her up.
Hey,
I don't know. But yeah, that was just a wild night. She has a penthouse. So it's all the way at the top, but it wasn't a tall building. It was just like a.
Yeah, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
It was just
tall.
Large.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a girthy building.
Yeah, but she has a giant penthouse on the top. That's disgusting. Don't ever say that again. But yeah, so it was really fun. And
damn, that boy thick.
And we actually thankfully got to meet Billy, who
Billy.
started on the Two Party System and the Two Party System Network. So
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of you probably know Billy from
That's my
hosting all
dude.
over. But yeah, Billy is so kind and so sweet.
He's a
Hi,
cool
Billy.
ass
We know
dude,
you're
too.
watching this. It was so nice to meet you and get to hang
Better
out
be
with
watching.
you. Also, Billy was a speaker at the Nancy Pelosi action. So Billy came and talked a little bit about why we have to exit the Democratic Party, why they're not going to give us health care. They're not going to give us anything we need. So great job, Billy. I thought you did a fantastic job.
Oh, yeah. He's a natural.
Yeah, it was awesome. He literally just came and was like, I'm just going to wing it. Like I'm passionate about this issue. I'm going to wing it. Yeah. And it was fantastic. I, on the other hand, cannot wing things. So the things that I said were written down, but,
written down and peer reviewed like 3 times.
Yes.
So.
Well, I also needed to kind of preface why we were
everybody's
there.
Different.
I needed to preface why we were there, and I needed some concrete factual evidence to like say out loud, because I knew people were going to be in the mall. I knew that people were going to be staring at us, and I wanted to have that
fantastic
evidence.
Job too.
So if I can find the video, I will put it here. And if I can't find the video of it, I know that one of our friends, Kami John,
we will hunt it down.
Videotaped it for us. But if not, I have some pictures, so I'll place those here as well. But it was a super fun action. Ricky again got on the bullhorn, riffed some shit. He's so good at that.
Hilarious.
And then, we had a few speakers. Billy spoke. Savage Joy spoke about being disabled in healthcare. And then we just chanted and kind of left. It was a really quick 15-minute ish 20-minute action, just because we weren't trying to get arrested. We did want to like push the envelope, but we didn't want to get arrested before Saturday. So we had a lot of also very rich people screaming at us, how are you going to pay for it? Fucking communists. And people just heckling us while we were there. So that was not great, but
bird brain.
It did show the snakes and just the gross ass people that live in DC, especially in that area, obviously.
That's what I was saying. Like, like when I say I hate DC, I don't want people to confuse it. I don't, because when most people say, you know what they're talking about. They're talking about the poor areas, and they're like, ugh, I hate this. No, that part's actually, people there are beautiful and kind as hell, and they deserve better. But when you get in that little circle, it's like a vulture nest, and it's just gross, and you can see the contempt on people's face.
Yeah, and even when we were chalking the first day,
rest of humanity.
I don't know if you saw these people, but like that when we were talking the first day, we were right by Union Station, which is just across the street from the Capitol. You would see like what I could guess is like lobbyists or young staffers of these politicians who would just stare at us with these just disgusting stares as we were like dripping in sweat, just chalking, just dying out there. But it was just so weird to go from that to even right inside of Union Station talking to poor people about healthcare. There's such a difference in that. And it was such a crazy experience. But that was Thursday, and I think I really loved the Nancy Pelosi action. I think it went really well, and right after, like, we left just as the police arrived, so we kind of got out of there quick, but it was really fun, and then we all kind of went back and hung out and had a good night together, and it was just super cool to, like, be in community.
Verbal middle finger to Nancy Pelosi felt,
it was so good.
It was
my God.
Soul restoring.
Yeah, it was so good. I'm so happy we did it. We almost didn't know if we were going to be able to do it because it was thunderstorming so bad as we were driving there, it was like a safety thing. It was coming down so hard, but
that, and you want people to pay attention, and people wouldn't stop and look and listen in a freaking rainstorm.
And there wasn't a lot of us there. There was like 9 or 10 of us there, but we got some good video of it, and that's the most important thing. So 9 or 10 people screaming at Nancy Pelosi is better than none. So I'd
do it myself. I wouldn't care. That shit was
absolutely personal protest.
That's fulfilling.
So that was Thursday, and then Friday we did Zombies on the Hill, which was super fun. A few of us, it was Ricky, Savage Joy, Courtney and Keisha Banks, the Banks sisters were out there with us, which was super awesome to meet them as well. They're super kind, really sweet. And who else was there? Oh, Lauren and James, who are also organizers with our group. We were all out there. We went and dressed up as zombies. So I had spent some time the night before and that morning, making some tombstone signs that has said RIP, and then they said various reasons why we died on them. One was like had no insurance, missed a copay, couldn't afford an ambulance, Aetna denied my claim, things like that. So we just came up with a bunch of these phrases to put on them, and we put one on our front and one on our back, and it was super cool. We walked around in full like zombie makeup, gray faces. We had like black eyes and tattoo face tattoos that looked like we were like bleeding on us and everything. It was super cool. Really awesome, really realistic. As much of realistic like makeup we could do when we were sitting in the park.
It was like Walking Dead season 1 before all the zombies rotted out.
It was definitely amateur, but it was cool. So yeah, we went over once we were all ready and we all wore black, and we went over to again NBC, Fox, and C-SPAN. We were walking around that courtyard again. We knew we were going to get kicked out of there because they had kicked us out a few days before, and we knew we were probably going to get kicked out anyway when we planned it. But we had a few of us walking around slowly. We were all walking slowly, like zombies. It's completely silent protest, except for Ricky, who was like grunting and moaning because he's an actor in real life. He
did the walker training.
Yeah, he did the walker training. He was in Walking Dead. An extra. So yeah, but yeah, he was like, and then we had, so a few of us stayed up in the front and the rest of them walked back in the courtyard where you can go into NBC and C-SPAN and Fox, and we're like banging on the doors, like trying to get in, like as if they were really zombies. It was so cool. We had 2 people come out that time, one a real security guard and then another was a worker. And that's when we got into a little bit of not an altercation, but they were so rude, so intensely like rude to us, like trying to kick, like we're gonna call the cops on you, this is ridiculous, like what are you guys even fucking doing here? And it was just wild and so I got kind of irritated because like again, I know it's their job and we're not trying to make your job harder, but we're not going to not be there because you have to feed your family. Like we're also trying to feed our families, and
you gave them a fun story to tell their family.
You're trying to. That was the goal, honestly. Like we knew that this wasn't going to be like a crazy protest, but we were like, how cool would it be for people and tourists to just walk around seeing zombies all over the Capitol? Yeah. Like that's awesome. So that was the goal. But it did like really show to me like the ways in which they pit poor people against each other, and how poor people are the protection of the rich, and how they, will throw other poor people under the bus. And I know it was their job, and I know it was, not their fault, but it was also just kind of crazy the way that they treated us. That like the first lady on the first day was like, you guys have to leave or I have to call the cops. And I was like, I don't want to, but I have to call the cops. And these people were just like, we'll gladly call the cops on you. Like, we don't go fuck. And I was kind of irritated. So I was like, we're doing this for you and your family. We're doing this for all of us. Like, you shouldn't have to choose between fighting for your family and feeding your family and fighting for this cause. Like we're all in this together. We're all the same. We're on the same side. I kept shouting that at them. I was like, we're on the same side. We're on the same side. Cause like, yeah, I don't know. It's just
zombies don't talk.
It was so irritating. But then Ricky was on the other, they were like, you have to be on the other side of these like flower pots that they had. Those like the line of the private property. Yeah, so anyway. Ricky again was like walking right by the flower, like would not leave. And that's he was getting them pissed because he would not leave. Which is fine. I don't care. But yeah, so that was fun. We left NBC and Fox News and we went to the Capitol. So we walked through this fountain. Savage Joy actually got into the fountain and walked in the fountain, which was a cool moment. And then we walked up towards the Capitol. Bunch of tourists stopping to take pictures of us, to stare at us. That's exactly what we wanted. So we ended up getting over to the Capitol. There were guards like following us as we were walking to the Capitol. We walked up to the Capitol steps. Ricky hopped on the Capitol steps, got yelled at. I had a moment where I gave a Capitol police officer a really ugly look. It was super funny.
That was hilarious
because he yelled at us and I was really irritated. And then yeah, he told Ricky to get off the steps, that we couldn't be on the steps with signs, which is just like, how fucking crazy is that? How fucking crazy is that? That we live in a country that apparently has like free speech and we have the right to protest, but we can't get on our own Capitol with a sign. A sign. We weren't talking, we weren't yelling, we were zombies, right? We weren't talking at all. We were completely silent. And we couldn't even just stand there with a sign.
Mm-hmm.
When we were all standing, Ricky, just to finish this story, Ricky went over to the steps and fucking sat on, like, stared at the steps, just stared at him, and then sat down and went and put his pointer finger on the steps and just kept going like this and slapping the steps. It was so funny. It was great. But then even when we like had lined up, we walked around. I ended up leaving Ricky there, and I walked around with all the tourists and was like getting in tourists' faces, and it was super confronting, and all of them were like trying to avoid me. It was really awesome. And then and then we had
I would have been so pissed off at you.
I wasn't following them. Like, if they left my presence, I wasn't following them.
No, it's funny.
But I would walk up to tourists and I would look at them in the face, and like, because people were trying to avoid seeing it. It was like, that's what we wanted. We wanted to have a visceral reaction and people like, this is uncomfortable. And I wanted to make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, death should make everybody uncomfortable, and it doesn't.
And so we ended up lining up for a picture where we were all standing, looking at the Capitol. So we all lined up and just stared at the Capitol for a good 2, 3, 4 minutes ish. And they had fucking guns. Like, there was a guy with binoculars looking at us, and they had like, it looked like a sniper. Almost pointed at us. It was wild. So yeah, after that we just wrapped up, and we had someone there, Ford Fisher, live streaming, and we did a few interview questions, and then we ended up leaving from there. And then me and Ricky and Kami John did a live stream where we just walked around the National Mall and did some stickering that night. So I walked so much that day. My feet were on fire. I was not comfortable. I was not doing well, but we did a lot of really cool stickering things. So I'll leave those pictures here as well. But yeah, we did some cool stickering there. And then that was it for the day. So it was a cool action. And then Saturday was our march and our rally, which amazing speakers. We did like a big march, met at the Ellipse, marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, I believe, and then Constitution.
Mile-and-a-half march all the way to the Capitol
Union Square, Union Square Park.
Yeah.
So
we
walked down Pennsylvania by the White House. And
where the stage was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a really cool
The stage was positioned right in front of the Capitol, open field. And so we marched all the way down there. And I would say there was probably a good, like, I don't know, how many people would you say?
Not that many. There was like 70 tops.
70, yeah, but that's tops. I mean, that's still good. That's maybe still good. Like I'm happy that it wasn't just us, you know. That's the positive about it. Like, I feel like a lot of people shit on activists who don't have like millions and millions and millions of people at their protests or thousands of people, and it's just like, fuck off. Like, we're all fucking here, grassroots activists doing our fucking thing. First of all, people
potty mouth today,
I'm sorry, but it's irritating because I had so many of my fellow organizers who were just like so upset that we didn't have a lot of people there, and we're so worried about what people were going to say online about it. And it's like, who gives a shit what people say online about it? We had some great speakers. We filmed it all. We had like thousands of people watching the live streams. So we didn't have a lot of people in person. We had tons of people on the live stream. We also had it in one place last year rather than 56 places. So, you know, that's a lot less accessible for people to make it out than before. There was also 2 other marches that day. There was the Defend Black Women March, and there was the Palestinian March. I don't know exactly a lot of details about that one, but there were other places for people to be that day. And we all just kind of broke up into our own places. So
it was
I thought it was
turnout.
Good.
So it was good. It was good with what we had.
And people were walking by. That spot is so good because there's food trucks around there. It's like the only place around DC that has a bunch of food trucks lined up. The National Mall is right there. So people were walking by, stopping and staring. People are there to also get pictures with the Capitol. So there was a ton of people behind the stage with their families. So they were listening, even though they weren't in the crowd. We had people listening. And a lot of people stopped to listen. So it was really cool. And we ended up doing what what was it, like 5 hours of speeches, probably, in 5 hours total there.
Yeah.
But we had like Reverend Annie Chambers and Dr. Mike Pappas, which was my favorite of the whole entire day. Someone from CMU in Michigan talking about the Flint water crisis. Dr. Cedric Taylor was a professor in my sociology department when I was in school, so I had him there. Who else was notable for you? Jeff did great. Jeff Ginter did fantastic.
Let's say you kind of named like a lot of them.
I feel like I'm missing one other person that was
there
super
was some
good.
there were also speeches that I regrettably missed because I was kind of bouncing around going by where like the other volunteers
first aid
were.
and everything. Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of really great speakers. There's way too many to
were.
mention because there were so many good ones. Zach, one of our organizers, did an amazing job. He's like a little Bernie Sanders up there.
Oh yeah.
Super good. He's only 17 and he did a fantastic job. So lots of great speakers, and that was pretty much the day. Like, we just did a bunch of really cool speakers. Had some poets.
There wasn't a speaker that was bad at all. Like, not even close.
We did have a guy that came in like yelling at us about healthcare during Jeff's speech, and Jeff kind of went off on him. But also Jeff ended up pulling him because we had to move on. That guy was holding it up, and so we're like, hey, let's talk over here. So Jeff went and talked to him for a while, and I think it was a really good lesson in like the ways that you interact with people who don't agree with you. You know, we can't always scream into an echo chamber all the time, so just to see that interaction happen in an organic way was really cool. So yeah, and then we wrapped up for the day, and it was really good, and went home, and then
caught up on our sleep. Oh yeah, mutual aid.
I almost forgot. Mutual Aid on Sunday with Freedom Fighters DC, which is a Fenny's group that she works with. So yeah, really cool people. JJ, Perk, Zeus. So lots of really cool people that were there. We went. I don't know exactly the area that we went into, but one of Freedom Fighters' like most common areas that they go into.
They said it's their favorite.
Yeah, their favorite
block,
spot.
And so yeah, definitely. I told them, I'm like, I can see why these people are. They're lovely here.
Yep. And we spent a good $500 on like fish and fries and snacks and drinks, and gave out fans from the day before that we had, hand fans. It was so hot that day still. And yeah, food went fast. We were there for maybe 2 hours tops, and that whole time was not us handing out food. Us handing out food was like maybe an hour at most, maybe like 45 minutes.
Like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was really quick.
Gone.
So
yeah,
but that was really good.
That
was my
people
favorite.
That showed up. It was a good turnout. Like food being gone fast, it was a good thing. I mean, obviously everybody, you wish you could just regenerate the shit, but
yeah, it was tough to turn people away or tell people that we didn't have anything anymore.
It's so hard.
But imagine like, it just makes you feel like, imagine all the people that have so much money, even like the lefties that have podcasts, like how much money they could support by donating even a third of their income to those organizations to achieve what we did. We fed, how many people would you say? Over 100?
Yeah.
Over 100 people that day with $500. And a lot of people got multiple plates or we don't ever turn people, like they don't turn people. Freedom Fighters doesn't like police how much they can have.
They don't.
They're like,
there's not like
you take what you want
or anything. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Good job.
But they I'm just so excited about what they do. No, I'm just kidding.
Punching the mic.
But yeah, they do really good work. So shout out to Freedom Fighters, and thank you for working with us. It was really good to just chat with them and get to know them too. So they were super kind. I had kind of organized the mutual aid. I organized with other people most of the week of action with a few other people. And then we had Lauren, who is main organizer, on Saturday with our whole team as well, planning in advance. But yeah, I had been in contact with Freedom Fighters, and they do really good work. So hopefully we're going to be able to support them in the future and continue donating to them. I know that I'll probably personally be donating to them on a more frequent basis. So they
Freedom
can go
Fighters?
out. Yeah. So they can go out and do that stuff. Just seeing what they do is really cool, and having that connection. So,
and it's not like donating to like a nonprofit or something. Cause it's like, I mean,
you're not donating towards someone's salary.
It's such an instant like transactional thing. It's like boom, they just take your money and then they buy food and feed people. Boom, it's that simple.
It was really
Done.
that simple. They picked up the money from us that day, went and bought the food,
Yeah.
placed the order, got the food, brought it. We all helped, put it out, set it up. And our March Medicare for All folks pretty much exclusively ran the tables, and freedom fighters just kind of stood around and helped
it's
guide
not
us.
It's not like they make money from doing this either.
No,
Like they
no.
literally are just
There's
taking
no
donations.
donors they have to be accountable to. None of it.
Right.
It's really cool. So I mean,
It's
if you are looking to support a mutual aid network or a bail fund, honestly, that's something that we want to set up in the future. Like one of our reflections from this week was we don't want to do the big marches potentially and like big march and like showy rallies anymore. It's like, let's just get arrested. Let's just go and fuck shit up, get arrested, irritate people, irritate power. So that's support a bail fund, support a freaking mutual aid network. That's so much better than supporting a nonprofit, to be honest. Or a nonprofit who's doing, at least a nonprofit that's actually doing agitating work, for people in power. So, yeah, that's why we were gone for so long. We had to take a few weeks. I had to take a few weeks personally just to really focus on planning this week and like not burning out. So it was a lot at the very end, and we had to take a few weeks off. And then for the week we were off and took last week just to kind of rest and recoup from the week and get our lives back on track. But I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really proud of what we did. I'm super grateful that you came with us, and you're always such a supportive partner.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was super awesome to have you there and experience DC with you and share my friends with you and everything. And so it was just super cool. And we've met a lot of people that we want to bring on the pod. So in the future episodes, we'll probably have Billy on more as like a commentator, and also our friend Kadeem, who we met at the march, brought his dog Ziggy. I'll show pictures of Ziggy too. Ziggy's a sweet girl. She's the best girl.
Such a good girl.
And yeah, Kadeem was super awesome. Like met him after the march and was like, yeah, I'll come like back with you guys and go get food.
We ended up hanging out with them like 3
We
times.
hung out with them for like 2 days straight. It was awesome. Like morning and night, he went and did mutual aid with us. And so Kadeem will likely be on the show very soon again. We met Jeff Ginter, which will also likely be on the show soon. I'd love to get Ricky on the show soon. So lots of really cool people that I think would be great to be regular folks to, have on the show and talk to us about these things. Because one of my favorite parts of the week was also just feeling like I had a group of like-minded people with me that I didn't have to worry about offending people or looking like conspiracy theorist or like, you know what I mean? I could just openly talk about what I believe in, and we were all on the same page, and we were also passionate about what we believe in, and that just felt really good.
Fun too. We had
so much fun
together. Like we were just laughing the whole week. Like it
was going to bed so late, even though we knew we had to get up in the morning. Like couldn't stop, hungover. Couldn't stop talking, drinking, going out to dinner. It was just so fun. To be with them, and I'm so glad that we actually ended up staying together in one place, because that made it way better, I think, than like if we were to stay separately. So but yeah, that's what we were doing, and I just think it was really cool, and why we wanted to do this was just to like talk about activism, and like I think hopefully I will be able to cover more marches and movement work and actions that are happening more frequently. I think as we're catching up with the last few weeks that we've missed, there's going to be stories that have happened, even activism that we've missed over the last few weeks. Like that climate protest comes to mind from when we were in Washington, D.C. So like we'll probably talk more about that stuff, and we'll be more attentive to like talking about what's going on in that department. But just being there and doing the activism that we did made me like remember why I love doing it and remember what we actually have to do. So after that week, I was just like, yes, we have to like, I was finding more stuff that I could do to get out on the streets. So, yeah, but thank you.
Yeah. Like I want to go back, like it definitely re-sparked that flame that I poofed out.
Well, hopefully there will be Hopefully there will be a communist march that Rome is putting on in Detroit in September. So super excited about that. I'm going to make a banner for them for sure, because that's super awesome. Let's go. But yeah, like as soon as we got home, I was like, We're not going to the Hamptons.
What?
We're not going. I have no money to go to the Hamptons, but it's a really cool concept. Camp Dada, I think Dada.
Something like that.
Courtney and Keisha and Josanna from RBN are doing that like week-long camp, and long weekend camp for activists. So if you want to go donate to that, I think they still need a few monetary donations or things from their wish list, camping items. But when I met Keisha and Courtney, they were like, "Oh, you guys should join us." And I just can't afford the flights out there right now because of my sister's wedding. But
oh yeah, no, shit's expensive.
But I would love. I'm going to
messing with
support
you.
them.
Yeah.
I'm going to support them. I'm definitely going to throw them a donation for the week. And hopefully, if they do it next year, we will be going to the Hamptons or wherever they decide to do it next. Because I think it's super cool concept of like a lefty summer camp, basically.
Yeah.
Super cool.
We gotta collab with them too.
Yeah, and we'll probably have them on the show as well. So lots of exciting things coming. Super cool week. Just really energized me back into why we do this. And yeah, getting out of the existential dread for a minute. So,
Right.
so but yeah, that was pretty much it. We just wanted to like say we're back.
Our cat needs his table back.
We wanted to say that we're back. There's lots of things coming and kind of share what we've done over the last week. So we will catch y'all next week on, I think we're going to keep our schedule of Tuesday, but check out the other shows on the platform. And hopefully next week we'll have one of our guests on, Billy or Kadeem or someone. So
hell yeah.
That's it. That's all, folks. All the regular links are left down below as always. Like, subscribe to the channel so you never miss our content from all of our shows. And that's Leo. He's a
hello, comrades.
He's a communist
hello,
cat.
kitty rads. He's purring. He's a happy boy.
Yes. He's a very happy boy.
He's a lover.
Also, just wanted to say, like, shout out to all of our friends that were there with us doing stuff, like Savage Joy and Logan and
I love
Lauren
you and I miss
James
you
and Kami John. We love Kami John in this house. But yeah. So anyway, we will see y'all next week. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you liked it, drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you want to see next. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Bye, everyone.